What's up, guys? It's cold, as always. Get a bit done. So, signed off the last video. I've just sort of just been ticking along with stuff tonight. Yeah, just at a really weird, annoying point of the car where it's like I keep running around in circles of why I can't do things, is just keeps going around in circles. So I keep sort of chipping away at little things, but it seems like I'm at the point where I need to hook up a battery so that I can start finding ignition wires to start hooking other stuff up. But I feel like I can't hook up the battery because I haven't got enough wiring done. But then I can't do more wiring because of, yeah, and it just sort of goes in a circle. But got the radiator in. We have gone shroudless. Just decided to mount the fan straight to the radiator to clear the power steering pump, which is a bit of a pain because the shroud really does help a lot as far as cooling goes, but hopefully just the fans on their own will still push plenty of air to keep the thing cool. So all I did there was just zip tie them through the fins, and as you can see here, I just used like a 12mm stainless washer on the zip tie just so that it had a bit of purchase, because otherwise you end up just squashing the fins. You can buy those little kits off eBay to actually mount thermo fans straight to your radiator, which are pretty cool. They got like a little spring on them, and they're a pretty cool little bit of kit, but I don't have any of that here, so zip ties and washers will do for now. So that's on. As you saw last episode, loom is in. I've got my little adapter here, which is also my temp for my Defi Advance, which I will, when it comes time to install that, I'll go through all of the sensors, but they're all in now. I've done all the vacuum hose, that goes to my map sensor, and I've got that one there at the back, goes to a T-piece, which tees to my fuel reg and my boost sensor for the Defi Advance as well. Not crazy on the blue. It's not going to be staying. It's just what I had here at the time. So don't stress, guys. It's not going to be blue forever. I've put the new gearbox sender, or the speed sender, on the end of the gearbox loom. So that's all good. What else have I done? I've put the main engine earth on for the negative side of that. So yeah, I don't know. It's sort of just, as you can see, it's just a big old mess. Bit of a pain. But yeah, I don't know. The gearbox loom and that could all go under the car. It's just that I don't want to crawl under there at the moment, and I don't want to move it at the moment. But this is all just gearbox loom.
Too cold.
Yeah, concrete's cold to be laying on. So that's just gearbox starter. And then back up here we've got alternator, which this, where the hell is it going? No, I can't find it now. But the alternator plug I have to change because the RB25 alternator is different. The other thing I have installed is haven't installed but have thrown in to make more of a mess, is my Davies Craig thermofan controller, which is pretty cool. It's just like a controller. It's got the relays for the fans, and you can pretty much control at what temperature each fan turns on, which is quite cool. It's just got a little temperature probe, which I've snuck in just in the outlet from the head. It's a pretty good accurate reading from there for temperature. So it's just got a little probe that I snuck in there, and then you can just control when it turns each fan on, which is really cool. So that makes things pretty easy for me. So that's in there as well. I just haven't actually wired it in yet. But yeah, it's just ticking away at little things.
I was going to fuck your video up, but yeah, that's the starter wiring.
Oh, that's the starter wiring.
That's why you can't find the alternator plug.
Sorry, yeah, so that's the starter wiring. That's gearbox loom at the end of it.
This
is the alternator wiring. Yep. So that is the alternator plug, which I have to change. But anyway, I'm not going to do that now because the 25 plug for the alternator is down in one of the Sylvias, I think. And I'm just not going down there to fish around for that in the dark whilst it's cold. So yeah, I'm just trying to figure out, I suppose, what to go on with next now. Yeah, how to proceed in a fashion that's going to be worth doing. All right, guys. So I've pretty much come to the conclusion that my brain is just too frazzled to be doing what I'm trying to do here. I keep looking at it. I can't really make much sense of it. I have been doing wiring since I got here last night, which was the end of the last episode of this build. So it has literally been, since I got here last night, I've just been doing wiring. I did the whole loom, so I've just been doing wiring for like a solid day now. I just went and tried to make myself some dinner and like put stuff in the microwave and just didn't turn it on. I'm just doing dumb stuff because my brain's all It's just, I think I need to give the wiring a bit of a break for a while because I'm not making any sense of what I'm doing, and I'm not making any progress. So I'm just gonna call it quits at that for now and have a break. Try and hit it again, not tomorrow, I'm going back to the coast tomorrow, the day after, Friday. Try and hit it again on Friday, get this sorted. Because when I think about it, it's like, it's not that hard what I'm trying to do, but for some reason I just going around in circles, so I'm just gonna have a bit of a break. Mind you, still, it has been a good progress that's been made in the past the past day, pretty much. Getting that loom sort of sorted to the point where it is now in the car. All the plugs on it, everything done. Getting the fuel system sorted. The injectors seem to be sealing properly. Hopefully they are when I actually turn the fuel pump on. So getting it to this point has been pretty good. That's been pretty good progress. So I'm pretty happy with that. It's just that I need to keep going. I'll do it later. Righto guys, so had a little break, came back to the coast, had a day off, sort of got my head straight, got my head wrapped around it a bit, which is sometimes just what you need to do. So yeah, again, like the issues I was having, thinking about it, doesn't seem to be too complicated. Sort of created a plan of attack now, so hopefully head back out there and smash it out, and do better than I was doing the other night. So today is Friday the 19th of July. So at the moment I've just got to head to Repco. Got a mate that works at Repco, Cody, who I pretty much have to credit a lot for getting the car to where it is. He's been a massive help in finding even the most trivial parts. And he's helped me out a lot in just figuring a lot of shit out. So I've got to go there, I've got to get belts and a battery, and a bottom radiator hose, which is like some of the very last bits of the puzzle. I found out my tuner, Shane, is going to be away for a few months. He leaves next week. I don't think I'm going to be able to get the car to him before then. So last night I ordered a Innovate AFR, because it's got to be running the same injectors it used to run. I've got to be running the same tune file that I was running before. So it shouldn't be too far off. It's just the fact that the turbo's a lot smaller. So I may just have to crank the fuel up just to keep it into the safe AFR range, run it a little bit rich, which I don't particularly mind for running. So I might just run it a little bit rich and pull a little bit of timing and just run it like that for essentially running until Shane gets back and he can give it a proper tune up. So just clean the tune up properly. So I did that. So yeah, it's just a matter of going to get this stuff, battery and that. I got to head back out there and then I'll just attack this. I want to get that under the car loom, the starter, gearbox and alternator loom. I want to get that sorted because that is really making that corner of the car a real mess and it's really hard to look at and wrap your head around it. So just got to get that sorted, and honestly there's not a lot left to sort out after that before I can actually sort of hit the key and see how it goes. So I've downloaded my Microtech software for my laptop, so I have the Microtech software now. I've got to go to JCar and get a serial to USB adapter, because obviously Microtechs are dinosaurs and don't use USB, they use a serial plug. So I need to buy a serial to USB adapter for the ECU for my computer. So yeah, I'm hoping today's Friday the 19th. I'm hoping Sunday. Hoping by Sunday I can start it. I want to start it on Sunday and just run it. Make sure everything works. Make sure everything on the ECU is fine. So then after that, the rest of my intake that I've ordered, all my little bends and silicon stuff should be here next week. So if it starts on Sunday, then it hopefully will just be another week in wrapping up the loom, finishing the intake off, and yeah, bleeding up all the brakes and clutch and everything, getting that sorted. And then the car is more or less just about ready to go. My Innovate should be here next week as well, so I can wire that in next week. So hopefully by the end of next week, which would be, what, 7 days from, yeah, so about the 28th. Hopefully by about the 28th, the car will be more or less complete and I can drive it. The only other thing I've really got to do is sort out a brake line for my hydro. So I'll get NZ to sort that out hopefully next week as well. And yeah, hopefully it's all good. So anyway, we'll get out there and hopefully make some more sense of this wiring for you guys. So this plan of hopefully having the car ready next weekend obviously is counting on the fact that nothing goes wrong and everything goes right, which, as any of you who actually build cars or has built cars will know, that pretty much never ever happens. So but hopefully it does. I don't have a lot of work next week, so I do have sort of most of the week to work on it and get it sorted. So anyway, got my stuff from Cody at Repco, which is awesome. So hopefully that's just about the last few things I need. I'll put Cody's Instagram handle up here, because if you want to go follow him, he has a really mint Mark IV Supra. Yeah, the thing is off tap, really cool. He also drifts a S14 SR20 that has actually just finished putting a full cage in it, which was actually done by Ryan Foley, who is the bloke that did all the fab work on Liam's Skyline, who's really good fab worker. So that cage is absolutely mint. So here we are, back out here. First point of call, while I've got daylight, is I'd go and try and find an RB25 alternator plug for my alternator, because the plugs are different, because they're different alternators. So I need to go find one of them. I'm hoping I still have one of the looms in one of the Sylvias digging around. So I'll try and pull one of them out. Also while I'm there, I'm going to have a look for RB25 into S13 loom. Because yeah, I was watching Pecky's video the other day. Obviously, for those of you who don't know, he's building an RB25 S13. I was like, hey, I've had an RB25 S13 and I'm pretty sure I've got a loom. So I'm pretty sure it's a Series 1 loom, because I'm pretty sure I sold the Series 2 loom with one of the running gear like packages. So it's probably not going to be much use for them. Righto, so fairly bad news. Found the loom that I was talking about. It is, yeah, I don't know. It's been modified and I have no idea what's done to it. It is a Series 1, it's got a Mines ECU. So I'll probably just tell Pecky to not worry about it, because I have no idea what's done to it, so it could just be a real pain in the ass. I think whoever did it did a pretty good job. It's got full like douche works, however you pronounce that, douche, I don't know. However it's pronounced, it's got all them sort of connectors and stuff on it, so it's actually done pretty well. But yeah, probably just going to be a headache for him. Better off starting with a stock loom, that way at least you can have diagrams and know what's what. So the other bad news is I cannot find a alternator plug or an alternator loom of sorts for whatever came out of either of these cars. So I believe that, yeah, I don't quite remember when I pulled these apart what the go was with alternators or anything. Both of these cars had batteries relocated to the boot. So yeah, not sure what the go with the alternator situation was with the alternator looms, so that's a bit of a pain. So anyway, that doesn't matter. I should be able just to use pins, hopefully. Some insulated pins, hopefully will sort it out for now, and probably have just to buy a newer plug. But yeah, the annoying thing was I was hoping that loom would still be somewhat intact, so I knew which one on the plug was like the sense wire and which one was the charge light, because I don't know which one's which. So that's my problem at the moment. So I definitely don't have a Nissan RB connector plug for this alternator. So I've just had to order one off eBay, so it's going to be here next week. It's alright, it's not too big of a deal, just means that I won't have a working alternator. I can still start the car, it'll still start, everything will do as it needs to, it's just that I won't have a working alternator. But anyway, next week. So I'm up to, I've run this new cable all the way through the car for the fuel pump. I just decided to run a new fuel pump for the relay. So that comes back to here, this is where my relay is going to go. I've got this little relay holder, which I'm going to mount off that screw just there. And that's where the relay is pretty much going to sit. So these are just little spades that actually clip in for the relay holder. So you just sort of, if that ever focuses, this camera's being a pain. Anyway, so as you can see, that's how those work. You just put them on, clamp them on with some pliers. Pretty easy, and they've got little tangs on them which hold them into the relay holder. So that makes the relay really easy to get in and out. I've also got this relay here which I actually just pulled out of that loom that I just showed you, that actually has removable fuses, which is kind of cool. So that has a removable fuse. So yeah, that's cool. Hopefully that relay should never go and it should just be a fuse all the time. So then so that runs to the fuel pump. This is one I haven't done yet, as you can tell, it's because I was wanting to show you guys this. This is what the spades look like. So you just strip them, this little tang, you fold over the wire, and then the one at the back, the bigger one, that goes over the sheath. You just fold them over and squash them with some pliers. I just use some pointy nose. And the other thing I am going to do is just put a dab of solder on the end, just to make sure they do get a really good connection. So that goes to the fuel pump, that goes to the activation wire on the ECU, which you saw in the last one. And this, which I haven't done yet, goes to power directly to the battery. And this, which I will run through the firewall, will be ignition, once I find an ignition wire to tap that into. So that's how that's going to go. I've run a second power as well, a nice big one, which is here. That's the one that's going to go to an inline fuse, which is then going to go to here, which will power my injectors and ECU. And I'll also tee it off and run another one back to power my Defi Advance, as well as my AFR gauge when I get it in there. Should be fine. AFR and like the Defi Advance and stuff, that really shouldn't draw hardly any power. ECU shouldn't actually draw that much power either. Ejectors are the only thing that really sort of draw much power, but either way it should be fine to run all them. That's why I've run, it's quite a large cable that I've run there. It's about 6mm. So that should be heaps to power all that stuff. So yeah, the other issue I ran into, obviously I took this guard off, as you can see. I've taken this guard off. I wanted to remount this right up on top like I did on the Crusader. Obviously the only thing, the difference is in the Crusader I was able to do that because I re-ran this whole loom with a new fuse box location. This loom is too short for me to do that with, and as you can see there's a lot of wires in it and I'm just not about to extend it. So that's where it was sitting, like there. I can get it sort of right up into that groove if I drill some new holes and zip tie it. So I'm just going to try and zip tie it right up as high as I can and really hope that this wheel doesn't eat it. I don't plan on, like, although I'm going to be really low, I plan on running little wheels. So I'm hoping that sort of keeps me out of trouble as far as eating the loom. Either way, I think it's just going to be one of those issues that if it happens, I'll deal with it then. And then I might have to just look at literally extending this loom so I can move it. But for now, I am not about to do that, especially not right now. So just going to leave it like that as it is and just, yeah, drill holes and try and get it nice and high and hope that that's okay. The other thing is I've got the throttle cable in, which I actually still have to make a new throttle cable bracket for the throttle body. For anyone who's running forward-facing plenum on an RB30, on an R31, this is a VL Turbo throttle cable, I believe. I can't actually 100% remember. Pretty sure when I bought it, it was a VL Turbo one. And the end where it goes onto the pedal is a little bit different. I had to use a 10mm stainless washer and slit it so I could slide it over the actual braided wire so that it would lock into the pedal. But it works fine once you do that. And I had to make my own little bracket for it on the firewall there, which, as you can see, I made quite a while ago. It's you know, it is what it is. It still works. That's why I haven't changed it. So it's gonna stay because it works. But yeah, so I'm gonna finish off this relay and mount it up, and then I still need to do the fuel pump end. So there you go. That's where it's gonna sit. It's nice and easy to get at, and the relay just. So it does go in, you just got to be a bit firmer. But anyway, that's how it's going to be, in a nice easy spot to get at. It's convenient, really easy to get at, find if anything's going wrong, and it should be nice and tidy. So that's how the fuel pump relay is going to be. Alright, so I've just put all the earths on the loom on the motor, and done the earth that I put on the other end of the loom, on the body, in the footwell there. I've only got the one engine earth on it at the moment, so I don't want to go too far with the loom and all that until I've got another engine earth on, which I will do tomorrow when I put it on the hoist. I'll put in my inline fuse into this power source. I put a spade plug on it for now, which I put a spade on this one as well. So that's going to be a spade connection for the loom, for the injectors and the ECU just for now, just until it goes back in permanently. So I just put the spade on it for now because I still got to pull the loom out to rewrap it, so I didn't want to solder it together at this point. I may even just leave the spade on it and just obviously seal it up properly with that rubber tape that I've got, that rubber amalgamating tape. So I may just leave the spade on it just for ease of getting the loom in and out when I need to. But anyway, I'm at the stage now where I took the relay out, didn't connect that, none of that's connected. So there's no actual power going to the loom or anywhere else at the moment, but I put the battery in and connected the battery just because I'm at the stage where I need to start finding ignition wires under the dash. So battery's in, now it's just time to get under there with the test lamp, trying to find some ignition wires, because that way I can then splice them into for the activation for the relay, and then I can start, I suppose, wiring through the Defi Advance and yeah, really get all that stuff happening too. So that's gonna be next. It's just an annoying stage of the build where you get to the end of it and all through the rest of the build you're just focusing on one thing at a time. When you get to this stage where it's sort of getting towards the end, all you can think about is everything that has to be done, and it just makes a real cloudy pain in the ass, but we're working there, we're getting there, it's progress, it's getting there. Also, before you put your battery in, make sure you turn everything off. I didn't, and my windscreen wipers went off and I had tools all over them, and that caused a whole heap of mess. So definitely check that before you hook your battery up. Righto, so dug around in the dash, I found my ignition source wire, ended up just taking one off the back of where they've used it for the radio. Shouldn't matter because it's literally just a activation. It's not actually really drawing much current through there. So that should be fine. I've also confirmed that the wire that I used to wire in the ignition from the key for the ECU is correct. As in, it actually does get power with ignition and not constant power. So that's all worked out well. I've so this is my power from the battery to my inline fuse, and I've just piggybacked off that into the cabin for my Defi. And then I'll also just piggyback off the one I used for the ignition activation for the fuel pump relay. I'll piggyback that as the ignition activation for the Defi as well. And I will literally do exactly the same with both of those when my AFR gauge arrives as well. So, same thing. A lot of the stuff these days, that it draws hardly any current. Pretty hard to piggyback it. What I have done is leave these all long enough so that if I do have any issues, I can actually put a fuse box here instead of running it off the one fuse. Because the way this is going to be is essentially the injectors, ECU, the Defi Advance, and the wideband will all be run off this one fuse, which is probably not ideal, but it's going to work, and that's what I've got at the moment. But if I have any issues with it in future, I can always just cut that out essentially and put a little like 4 fuse box or something in this corner so that everything's got its own fuse. But for now, I think it's going to be fine. This setup is pretty right for about 30 amps, which is way more than any of this should draw. So that should be fine. And then the fuel pump relay's got its own power. And then the rest of it's the other power. So that's where we're at the moment. So honestly, relay's all done, that's all done up, ready. All I need to do is put a fuse in there, and then the ECU's all right. Like I was saying, I don't want to fire up the ECU just yet until I get a better motor earth. Honestly, I probably could. It's not that big a deal. So all I really have to do is do the fuel pump at the rear end of the car, wire it up properly, which I'll have to do some research on, figure some stuff out, sort that. But for now, I'm going to probably whack on the bottom rad hose and the belts. And I might look at doing my fan wiring. So that's what I'm going to look at. I pulled the fan wiring out because it just annoyed me having so much mess in this corner, but I might actually put it back in and sort it out too. Alright, so in here you can see I've mounted my little Craig Davis fan controller where I had it the other night. It's mounted in there. It should be pretty nice up in there. It's out of the way. Still pretty accessible to get at these relays and these fuses, so that should be fine. So I've just used just a crimp-on connection and just earthed it straight to the bolt, or the screw that's holding it. I did have to run another ignition wire down this guard with the other 2 powers because this obviously needs an ignition switch on. All I did was piggyback that off the ignition onto the fuel pump relay. So again, like with ignition inputs to stuff, it's really pretty much just triggers a relay internally, and whatever it is, it doesn't draw much current through that at all. All it is a signal to tell it to turn on essentially. Then it's got its actual power draw from the battery, which is going to go with these 2 things, with these 2 powers on the battery terminal. So then I've got here, this is your little probe. I'm pretty sure I showed all this the other night, but I'll show it again. That's a little probe. That's just the little dick that pretty much tells it what temperature the car's running at. So obviously best to put that. God, this camera's a pain for focusing. Anyway, it's literally just a little probe. Best place to put that is in the top radiator hose, because that's where you're going to get your most accurate reading. If you put it in the bottom, it's going to be reading how cold the water is coming out of the radiator, which is just not right. So put it in the top, reads motor, actual water temp from out of the motor. So I'm just planning on sneaking it in, just tucking it in that radiator hose, putting it over and clamping it up. So that'll just run across there. And then that's just another earth, which will earth to the light or something, or the radiator. And then you've got power to each fan. So what I'm going to do with power to each fan is just use these crimp spades. All of the spades I use as well, guys, are these Nava ones. I've found these Nava ones to be way better than any sort of SCA or any other brand that I've ever had. These Nava ones, me and Rex both rate them very highly as far as crimp on connections. A bit more expensive, but they seem to be a lot better than the SCA crap. So one thing I did get, another cool thing, is just another thing that I got off Wish in the theme of all this stuff that I'm getting off Wish lately, because I get bored and just jump on there. These are all just like IP65 rated connectors. They come with little waterproof things and your little pins. I've got 2, 3 and 4 wire connectors. So these are really handy things just to have. Again, got them off Wish for next to nothing. So I had planned on using those for the fans because I thought it'd be nice to have like a proper 2-wire connection for them. But obviously, as a lot of you guys know, you can reverse the polarity of your fans. You can make them run either way. So for that reason, I've decided just to use spades because I haven't actually tested what polarity these work at and I couldn't be bothered. And with spades, I can just change it over if it's wrong. Or if I want to decide I want to put a fan on the front of the radiator, I can just swap them over and reverse the polarity. So make it a push fan instead of a pull fan. So that's why I'm just going to use spades. So that's my story. Coming along, got in there, we've got belts, and I've got my bottom rad hose on, so that means the cooling system is complete. Also got my little dongle in that, and that's all hose clamped up as well. So the cooling system is complete. The wiring for my thermos is done and in. So you can see that's all just fits nicely tucked up under there. And that's all, I put them all on the positive terminal, everything I needed to put on there. So that's, yeah, sort of getting close now. That's pretty good. I've left the torque wrench with the 27mm socket on it out, so that when it comes time to start, I do not forget about my balancer pulley, because I still haven't torqued that up. So, obviously doing it the way I'm doing it, and the way I have decided to do things, is going to make this corner a big mess, especially when I get my Defi Advance in here, because the box is going to have to go in this corner because some of the sensor wires aren't long enough to get into the cab. So it's going to make this corner a real messy pain in the ass, but even though it's messy, at least it's very easy to get at. It's very easy to get to, super easy to fault find, and to sort of, yeah, that's pretty much, it's not going to be a show car. It's not going to be that pretty, but it's going to be convenient and easy to work on and get at things. So that's all right, I can live with it. And obviously it looks messy as in the bay with the loom all not wrapped up and all this blue vac hose, which, as I told you guys a lot before, it's probably not going to stay. I'm probably going to swap all that out. So anyway, it's getting close. Yeah, I was going to go on with the Defi, but I've had a few people show a fair bit of interest in that Defi copy thing. So I'm going to do, the next episode is pretty much going to be just on that. I don't know if I'll start that tonight. It's getting late. It's like 9:30 and I still haven't eaten. So I'll probably go have a shower and have something to eat and probably head to bed. And then tomorrow we'll keep going at it. So tomorrow's going to be pretty much get this Defi Advance in, get it back on the ground rolling, get it over into the hoist bay, get it on the hoist, put some decent engine earths on it, some better earths. I've got to make a bracket for the throttle cable, put fluids in it, hit the key, check the ECU with the key on, make sure it's doing everything it's doing, connect my computer to it. Well, actually what I'm going to do, because Rex has got my exact old ECU that still has my tune on it, I'm going to plug that ECU in for startup probably. At the very least I'm going to plug it in and use that to drag all my maps and stuff off, and that way I'll put my new old LT8 in, and then I can write all the maps or copy all the maps onto that. So that's how I'm going to do that. But yeah, tomorrow it'll be go and get some fuel, and hopefully by tomorrow afternoon we're getting pretty close to starting this thing up. So yeah, thanks for watching as always, guys. I'm pretty sure this will be another really long episode. Sorry about all these wiring episodes being really long and drawn out and patchy, because I can't seem to keep my head together enough to get through it all in one hit. But although it looks disgustingly messy, we're actually quite close. There's not really much more wiring to do. All I've really got to do is do the fuel pump, which I'll do in the morning. Apart from that, as long as everything works, the wiring's more or less done. So that's awesome. I'm really stoked with that. So it's been good progress today. It's good progress this afternoon. Just got a little bit further to go, and we're getting close. So thanks for watching. Hit subscribe, comment, If there's anything that I didn't really brush on or touch on really well that you want to know, feel free to hit me up. Even though there's been 2 long episodes on it, there's a lot of stuff I didn't put in there. So if there's anything you want to know, just hit me up. I'm happy to help out. So just ask. So, yeah, thanks for watching. See you next time.